In this last video, what I want to kind of talk about is just a few wrap-up things. You remember earlier where I changed the name of that department. Well, if I want to change it so that the rest of them are that, you see how I changed and made a new one? Because right down here in this space, I believe was, yeah, remember that restroom on the ground level? I changed that to a uppercase. And again, this isn't super important, people. This is just, you want things to look consistent. So what I had to do was go into all of these and click one, hold down shift and click these, and then I can make them the uppercase common one. And see, actually it just wants me to do one at a time, so it didn't even let me do it like that. But you see how I would have to go through and change every one individually. And you have to ask yourself, is that really worth your time? Well, if you're going to show it in a schedule, you want it to be consistent. So yeah, that is worth your time. So you can go in and change that. So you can mess around with the rest of them and change them if you like. It's really not a big deal for you turning in the assignment, okay? Um, in that instance, another thing that I just kind of wanted to throw at you all is the kind of the grouping and ungrouping of certain tabs. You can do that as well. Like for instance, in the appearance, I believe, let's see if that's an appearance or is that, let's see, where do I want to do this? I think maybe I can do that here under the filter, not the filter, I'm sorry, the sorting and grouping. If I want to make the level and the name together, there's a way I could possibly do that. Oh, you know what? While I'm thinking about this too, right now, you saw earlier one of the videos, I unchecked that itemize every instance. Don't worry about that today. I just want to bring it to your attention because as we start to schedule things like a door or a piece of furniture, a family in that way, when it says we don't necessarily want to show every single one, we want to be able to show one and have a type assigned to it or a name and then be able to show it in the schedule that way. But we'll talk about that next time. But for right now, you don't have to check that particular box. But one of the things that I might want to be able to do is to combine two of these into one. And I want to just pause the video and talk about something while we do that. Okay, so what I did, and I'll undo it so I can do it one more time. This is what I'm going to show you right now. Isn't exactly the way I wanted it to go. However, if I go back here and I go to filter, I'm sorry, not filter. If I say I want to take number and name, and I want to combine the parameters, and then I say number and name. And then I say combine parameter name. I say number slash name. And I do this. It kind of added one at the end, but that's not exactly the way I wanted it to go. So you saw how I put the number and name together. I combine those parameters, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then if I want to, I have to click on this in one cell and hold down the shift key, then click on this other one and say, let's group those. You see how that comes live? It's not live. I click one, hold down shift, click another, and I say group. And then I put a name in here and I say number and then name, right? With maybe a hyphen or a slash in the middle. Whoops, not there. I'm just going to start over. Number slash name, right? And then when I go look at this sheet this time, you see how you can group those two together. And you could do the same with level and department, right? Again, you have to decide what information like this is important to you. And so seeing those together, you might feel, okay, that's helpful to you. But then someone else may say, okay, well, that's silly because it just says number and name beneath. But what you have to remember is that you could go down here and instead of it reading number like that, if I go to fields and I say appearance or formatting, the heading can say number. I could make this say room number, right? And then I can go to name and make this one say room name. And then when I hit OK, you see how that changed. And now you see that is number and name, and then this is room number and this is room name. So it reads differently. It just depends on what level of detail the BIM manager or the department manager say, hey, I want that level of detail in there. I want this overall header to read number and name. And then I want this overall header to read department level and department or something like that. I've seen schedules like that before. And so I'm sorry if I confuse you with this down here. Alex wasn't exactly wrong, but it wasn't combining or grouping these things together. And so when you were talking in here about merging, you know, I don't necessarily want to merge or unmerge. What I want to do in this instance is group or ungroup. And if I want to ungroup them, I can just click on ungroup and that ungroups them. Okay. So again, nothing wrong with this. Um, uh, just depends on how you want to approach it. So think about that as you go through. And today we just touch one schedule, people, room schedule. And that's how you have to work schedules in order to understand how they really work. Work one at a time. And I think the best one to start with is always room schedules. Because here's the deal. If I go back here to fields, keep in mind, look how many other parameters or available fields I have. I can group rooms by occupancy. How many people will fit in this room based on the square footage, right? And then I could go perimeter. I could say, well, with wall finishes, that's important to an interior designer, isn't it? What the wall finishes in this room, is this three form panels in this room, or is this just the just a certain color of paint? What kind of paint's in there? If I add that in there, what's the next thing that I could possibly need as far as what the wall finish is? What about the base finish? You know, what about the ceiling? What kind of ceiling is there in there? What kind of parameters are under there? Well, we'll start figuring that out as we go a little further with schedules. And I think what you'll find that's beneficial to understand about this is the power of schedules and the information that you can give or not give to your client. Because in the end, if I decide something's important and I don't want to necessarily get rid of it, what I can do, let me hit cancel here. If I go to this schedule, can I hide that, right? Can I hide that out here? See how that, well, let me try that one more time. See if I can get this to, so to select all of that, I kind of just grab and I click on that, right? And I can't hide there for some reason, but I can go here and I can say hide column, and that's hidden. And now that's hidden from my schedule. It's still something that is a parameter, right? So if I go back here, you know, I still should have number and name, but it's hidden at that point now, right? And you know, if I want to show it again, I need to be able to bring that back. And if I go over here to unhide all columns, I think that's maybe where my problem was coming in. I was trying to use the place, not place. I was using the wrong one, people. So that's my error there. So you see where I can hide and unhide here by selecting the columns. So if I don't want to show this combined parameter, I can say hide it and then come here and it's hidden. And then I can come back to that and I can say unhide all, and that comes back. Okay. So, that's what we'll pick up. We'll pick up with a different kind of schedule on Wednesday. I'm trying to decide if we're going to do probably just a door schedule and maybe a furniture schedule, so you guys can see how we can do quantities and how we can even use something like a dollar value in a schedule to put a price on something, and that's how that's helpful for us too, and how to get totals and what something's going to cost. All that stuff's going to be important for us for next time. So on the next set of videos, we'll consider doing that, and we'll pick back up Wednesday, and we'll start working with doors and likely furniture is probably what we'll jump into next. Okay.